Let me start by saying that I absolutely love the a5000 and 6000 line of cameras. I've owned two Sony a6000s in my life, but last night I sold probably the last one that I'll ever own, and this is why. The a5000 and 6000 line of cameras is near and dear to my heart because this is how I got my start in photography. And also, I just wanted to say that I made a video 5 months ago talking about the a6000. I'm by no means going back on that video. I absolutely love this. I just think that it's for a specific style of shooter. All right, so reason number one, no 4K on the a6000. And unfortunately, the world is kind of gravitating or shifting towards the needs of 4K with social media, and if your use case is to repurpose video and crop in. So for me, having 4K is really important, and Sony didn't introduce that until the Sony a6100. That was the first time they put 4K inside one of these bad boys. Number two, I'm valuing audio more and more as I become a videographer, filmmaker, creator, whatever you want to call it. And I think audio is equally as important as a lens and the camera body, and lighting, of course. Lighting's super important as well. But the a6000 does not have a mic input. It doesn't have a audio monitoring jack as well. So with that, it kind of left me strapped in terms of options that I could use it as like a second video camera. And for that reason, I gravitated towards it and just picked it up less. Really quick, if you're finding value in this video, feel free to give it a like. It goes a really long way in helping my channel. Let's dive back in. Number three is the Sony a6000 doesn't have a flip out screen, like fully articulating. It has a flip up screen, which is good for photographers, and that's kind of the primary purpose of this camera. But I've become a little bit of a snob, and I need my cameras to have at least a flip up screen like this, so I can see myself and monitor just kind of like if it's a tripod situation like this, or if I'm doing rarely, but if I'm rarely vlogging. Number four, this one's kind of silly and specific to me. Maybe you can relate, but I have way too many cameras just sitting in my drawer, going unused, and unfortunately, because the reasons I listed above, I just found myself grabbing the a6000 left. The next reason I sold the a6000 to put the money towards an a6700. So as many of you know, the release date is July 12th, and I'm really excited to kind of pool my money, and if the offerings of that camera prove to be true based on like the rumors, I will be picking that up if it's anywhere close to the Sony FX30 and within like a reasonable price range. I want some extra money to throw at that because I think that's going to be a second B cam for me. So ultimately with the Sony a6000, it's near and dear to my heart. It's beloved. It's an amazing camera for photography, but unfortunately I've just outgrown it. Now here's a little bit about the guy who bought it off of me and his needs. So number one, he was shooting on an iPhone and his pictures are amazing. I'll link it here for his Instagram. But he shoots kind of like these minimalistic art pieces, and I think they'd look really good framed. But his clients are like, oh, this is great. They even work when you print them. But when he gets to a certain point, it's not working for him. So bigger sensor inside here and probably double the megapixels as well with the 24 megapixel sensor. Also, he told me he doesn't care about shooting video. So if he was really in a bind and he needed to, he has like the 1080p up to 60 frames per second. But honestly, if you don't need video, the a6000 is still a solid camera. All of this to say, the camera that you buy needs to be based off your personal needs. And unfortunately, the a6000 I outgrew it. It wasn't working for me anymore. So sit down with yourself and have a conversation about, before you spend money, what are your primary needs of the camera? Because when I get DM'd all the time on Instagram and TikTok and comments on YouTube, everyone's saying, okay, what's the best budget camera for me? And I'm like, I don't really know. Like, is it photo or video first? Like, what is your primary focus? And from there, then you can kind of start to make a decision. That's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you in the next one. Matty out. Peace.